Welcome back to Montobet with Fright Night. Possibly the best 80s vampire film. This film is in a lot of ways a loving homage and even parody of Hammer horror, while doing its own things and borrowing from the Rear Window story. Which is a cool concept, especially because Rear Window is one of my favorite movies of all time. The story centers around a high school student that begins to suspect his neighbor is a vampire, and he's a fan of a late night horror show called Fright Night, hosted by Peter Vincent, who the character's name is an homage to Peter Cushing and Vincent Price, as well as he played a Peter Cushing Van Helsing style character, only goofier. And when you see what his movies look like, it's clear that in this film's universe, he was the Peter Cushing, and that was Hammer Films, which I had just recently gotten this, by the way. It's an out-of-print DVD for $5. Oh, I'm real happy to have this, but anyway, Charlie, as he's watching, he begins to suspect his new neighbor. Like the first night they're moving in, he sees a coffin. He sees him bring girls in and hears screams. And the one night he sees Jerry with his fangs, which is when the story really gets started proper. He has a girlfriend and a best friend named Evil Ed, and he's trying to convince them, but it's a no-go. And one night he comes home and we get where Jerry's in his house, and there's something subtle here. At this point, Jerry had him dead to rights. He could have killed Charlie and his mom and be done with it. But he introduces himself and goes on, and that night he comes in the house and does threaten Charlie, but ultimately tries to make him a deal. Charlie, if you forget about me, I promise I will forget about you, which Charlie proceeds to stab him with a pencil. No, he grabs a crucifix out of his pocket, and then Jerry realizes, okay, there's no going back. I'm going to have to kill this kid. And Charlie stabs him with a pencil so he gets away, which it's something I actually like, because I get the sense that Jerry, even though he's a vampire, and yes, he needs to kill people because he needs the blood to live, he's someone that will kill out of necessity, but not if he doesn't have to. His first response to realizing he's been found out is very telling. He goes in, and even though there's threat posturing, he tries to tell Charlie, hey, let's just forget about each other. I don't want to have to do anything to you, and you can't do anything to me. So that's cool. Plus, Jerry does come across as a charming guy that can talk himself out of most situations, and I kind of wonder how many neighbors has he come across in the past that have found him out. And once he mentioned, if you forget about me, I promise I'll forget about you, most of the neighbors probably took him up on the offer. And Chris Sarandon masterfully plays Jerry. This is a vampire that is equally charming and scary. I kind of wonder how he would have played Dracula when I see him play this character. And he has a bodyguard that, although it's never stated what he is in the film, he's a ghoul. Which I do, again, like the concept of the vampire having something or someone to guard his coffin during the day. And Jerry's house is interesting. I love how he has all these clocks, so sunrise and sunset will never go past him. Roddy McDowall plays Peter Vincent and is probably my favorite character in the movie. Of all things, Roddy McDowall based his performance off of the Cowardly Lion from Wizard of Oz, and he's played this vampire hunter, which Charlie initially thinks he believes vampires are real and tries to recruit him. And Peter does wind up getting roped in and becoming a part of the adventure, as well as Jerry turning Evil Ed, Charlie's friend, into a vampire and abducting Charlie's girlfriend, who looks like a girlfriend Jerry had in the past. Whether it was before he was turned as a vampire or not, we're not told, which I'm glad. I like that it leaves things ambiguous, because there's even a scene in the movie when he tries to make Charlie the deal. He's like, I'm going to give you something I never had, a choice, implying he was turned into a vampire against his will. And did he, in a blood rage because he hasn't fed, kill that past girlfriend? We don't know. There really is enough material about Jerry based off of those few subtle things that there could have been a full prequel about Jerry's past. But I think it's better left untold. The final confrontation in Jerry's house is good, which splits off to Peter Vincent encountering Evil Ed in Charlie's house, which there's a scene where Evil Ed turns into a wolf and gets stabbed with a piece of wood and slowly and excruciatingly turns back into his human or vampire form, and that effect is supremely well done. We do see Jerry turn into this bat-like creature, and a nice thing about the bat-like creature, the head of the bat creature was originally meant for Ghostbusters. It was meant to be the face of the librarian, because the same effects team did this movie, but that face was deemed too scary for Ghostbusters, so they wound up using it in Fright Night. And granted, they added some tweaks to it, but the whole confrontation with Jerry is great. It ends up with him in the basement as the sun comes up, and I'm not going to say what happens, but it's something you have to see for yourself. Fright Night, I'm going to give an A. It's a phenomenal 80s horror comedy. It's one of the best 80s vampire... I'll even go, it's one of the best vampire movies you're going to watch. It's fun, it's creepy at points, the performances are solid all the way around. And just check it out. So, that's my review of Fright Night. Sadly, Montober's winding down this year. I'm probably going to do 3, maybe 4 more movies max. And I will conclude things with a review of John Carpenter's Halloween. As well as I do have plans for a bonus video talking about Halloween 2018 1 year later, so probably 4 more movies. So don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. Over and out.